stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you all for coming to our open session board meeting. First up are a couple of announcements. First is that Julie Cooley is now the liaison to the Facilities and the Finance Committee, and John is the liaison to the ARC and Social Committee. Also wanted to have my monthly reminder, please slow down. Also, we're going to be sending out CC&R changes at some point this year. They're almost done with legal, so I know we've tried to pull the trigger on this a couple times.
It's hot.
Hot mic, okay. CC&R changes. So those will go out in the mail, and we'll have more information on that on the daily report and on the website and at the front desk when that does happen. Also, that's coming out fairly soon is that time for the age verification process to start all over again. I know we're not getting any younger, but the government doesn't know that apparently, and so we have to keep filling these forms out every 2 years. And that is my announcements.
Before we get started, I have an announcement to make also. As some of you may know, during the closed board session, one of the topics we discuss are legal matters that affect our association and how we do business. This morning, we spent an hour on the phone with our lawyer talking about Exhibit F, which has significant legal connotations attached to it. I'm not sure at the end of the hour if we were any smarter than we were before we started talking to the lawyer, or more confused. But the one thing all of us agreed on is we're not ready to proceed with a vote on Exhibit F today. We need to rewrite Exhibit F and explain the pros and cons of Exhibit F clearly to all the voters as a standalone issue and send it back out so they are as well informed as we think we are right now in order to make a decision on how they want us to proceed. So it will not be voted on here today, and while those of you who came here intending to talk at the beginning of the meeting about that may certainly go ahead and do it today, you may want to hold off till a later time when it comes back for a vote. That's your option. So that's what will be happening today.
Thank you. And next on the agenda is our homeowner input. As a reminder, this is limited to 3 minutes per homeowner, and only one request to speak for may be submitted per homeowner. There will be no sharing or passing of time to another person. Homeowner input may be held for a maximum period of 30 minutes before the board meeting begins to allow the board to proceed with the business portion of the meeting. This portion of the meeting is limited to board participation only. Residents are welcome and encouraged to stay for the full meeting to witness the business of the corporation taking place by your governing agents. And as I'm sure everybody knows, I've got a ton, so I'll try to pick them randomly. And first is Paul Griffith.
Good afternoon. My name is Paul Grifo, and my wife Carol and I are owners of 464 Harbor Peak. Today I want to address a recent proposal by the Architectural Review Committee to eliminate Exhibit F from the Four Seasons Beaumont Architectural Rules and Guidelines. I have no doubt that this proposal grew out of a complaint that my wife and I filed in January of this year, complaining that our neighbor directly behind us, Mr. Steve Cooley, refused to maintain his slope. Mr. Cooley now happens to be the chair of the Architectural Review Committee. The reason for this complaint was that Mr. Cooley's slope was so poorly maintained that there were waist-high weeds and accompanying burrs blowing into our yard directly from Mr. Cooley's. And there is no ground cover on the slope as required to prevent soil erosion, which directly affects my property. If anyone is interested in the details of the complaint, I'd be happy to talk to you after the meeting. Our general manager, Eric Czar, came out to look at the situation, but since then I've had no response from the Art Committee or anyone else regarding our complaint's resolution, and Mr. Cooley's slope still remains unmaintained. Well, I guess I got my answer today. How convenient that the Architectural Review Committee is proposing to eliminate Exhibit F, the very rule that its chairman refuses to comply with. And how convenient that Mr. Cooley's wife, who is now treasurer, is a voting member of the Four Seasons Board. I'd like to point out that my wife isn't speaking today because the board only allows one person from each household to speak at these meetings. Yet Mr. Cooley gets to propose, and Ms. Cooley gets to vote on a proposal that would destroy the beauty of Four Seasons, negatively impact property values for many of us. You know, Cahovania didn't just come up with these guidelines willy-nilly. They put a lot of thought and invested a lot of money into developing a community that would be attractive to current and future buyers. We shouldn't begin to randomly eliminate these rules and guidelines simply because a couple of homeowners don't want to abide by them. Therefore, I'm asking the board for three things. One, that because of her conflict of interest, Mrs. Cooley be recused from voting on this proposal.
Absolutely.
Number two, that Mr. Cooley resign his position as our chairman because of this deceitful attempt to change the rules because he doesn't want to comply with them and hurt me and other homeowners in the process. Three, that the board vote a unanimous no on this ill-advised proposal. In closing, let me say that we gave Mr. Cooley 2 years before we finally filed a complaint. We try to be good neighbors and we do our best to comply with HOA rules and guidelines and would like the same respect from our neighbors. Thank you for this opportunity.
Grace?
My subject is abuse. Is it still okay to talk about it? My subject is the view. Okay. My name is Grace Germany, 1459 Rocky Mountain Park. I bought here about 10 years ago, and at the time I paid $40,000 more for a beautiful view up on the hill. And then everything was going fine, and then they changed the models here. And when they changed the models, they came along and they, with all this dirt, they built up another home that cut out half of my view. Well, there's probably nothing I could do about it because Cahovania wanted to make money on one more home. Okay, so a lot of us up there complained because it didn't just block my view, it blocked everybody on our street from looking at the mountains. Okay, so then they, when the new homes were built down below my slope, and it's not my slope, it's the slope that comes up from in front of me, from the homes below me, Cahovania built all these trees right at the top, and they come up even up above the wall, and you know, now it blocks my view of the mountains. And I never understand why they don't build trees down below, because what are they doing away at the top? Anyway, that's my issue, and I hope something can be done about it. One of my neighbors is really nice. He tries to trim them, but the other two neighbors couldn't give a shit.
Next is Doug Dupree.
Ready? Okay, my name is Doug Dupree. My wife and I reside at 376 Prospect Park. Many of you are here, and we're limited on time, and many of you probably want to speak. Some of you don't, but are here in support. If you're here and you oppose removing Exhibit F from the guidelines, would you please stand up? If you oppose removing Exhibit F from the guidelines, stand up. If you don't want to remove Exhibit F, please stand up. Okay. Don't want to remove it, stand up. Okay. Don't want to remove Exhibit F, stand up. Okay, that's it. Sit down, please. That's right. There are several problems with removing Exhibit F that I hope the board will consider. The ARC's conclusion to simply remove Exhibit F is based on several inaccuracies. People affected by the change were not aware of this proposal. Of the 65 people that we spoke to, homeowners, only 8 people were aware of it. 2 additional people knew about it and asked the association at the association office about it, and were told that it was a done deal already, which could be a miscommunication somewhere. But the fact is that most people that were affected by it did not know about it. There was confusion in the document that was posted online and available at the lodge. Page 7 of the document calls for modifying Exhibit F. Page 10 calls for removing it. Which is it? When we purchased our home in 2012, view lots were being advertised. I have a photo of that. It says view lots. And they were advertised as such until April 2015. Exhibit F was in place in the guidelines when we purchased and was the guiding document for slope planting in residential rear yards. The date of Exhibit F that I was given when we purchased our view lot in 2010 was 2010. In September 2016, Jerry Muklo sent out a letter with Exhibit F attached where she states in the letter, quote, "We recently sent you a mailer with updated architectural guidelines. Unfortunately, the exhibits were not included. We are enclosing these exhibits to keep for reference, for you to keep for reference." Again, proving that Exhibit F was the guiding document for slope planning. According to K-Hope's community specialist, Michael Werner, a premium lot is defined as larger than normal, an end lot, or having unobstructed views, which commands a see-through wrought iron fence to enhance the viewing areas. I don't have a corner lot, and I have a very small lot, but I do have a wrought iron fence in the back. In the architectural guidelines now in place, the pre-approved plant list, as well as H3B and H3D, all refer to Exhibit F. Restricted slope planting does not unfairly treat slope owners as the ARC suggests. In fact, these homeowners knew the pitfalls of owning a home with a slope and were able to purchase their home for tens of thousands of dollars less than the view lot owners purchased the same exact house. Time's up. Okay. Thanks. And then I told you all about the fire issues involved, and I hope that you will take that into consideration. Thank you.
Next is Marshall Norman.
I talk quite fast. I'll make it as fast as I can. It is, of course, due to the views. I have a premium lot on Irvine Park. I have a premium lot on Irvine Park, and my neighbor, Marcia Dorner. My neighbor is way down, and there hasn't been a problem with my neighbors at all at this point. Let me preface by saying I was chairperson of the ARC committee, and also on the ARC for 4 years, and know exactly, if you read their guidelines, what they can do, and it is in their guidelines, the standards. They should not be doing this. There's no reason that this should have even come up. We would never, ever, ever was on the ark. We would never have thought of this. This is a complete change that should never happen. We that bought the lights bought them because of the views only. I know I didn't even like my mom. It was my husband that talked me into my husband that talked me into the view. And to this day, people go into our great room and say, "Oh my God." Now, if somebody is allowed, my neighbor down below, and I don't think he'd do it, but if my neighbor way down below would put cypress trees right on my, what would I have? I would have nothing. Plus, I lost a tremendous value in the house if I go to sell it. So, being neighborly is something that if you were neighborly, you would not have even come up with this. It blows my mind. There is no need for it, and that's what I want to say, that I do not believe they have the power to do this. Talking to a lawyer is unbelievable. I think you're going to set yourselves up for, if you do anything like this, for fraud, you're going to get yourself for fraud. And I just want to tell you that I have the experience, and I know the art committee, and believe me, it should not be happening. And also, I don't know about Steve, but we only served for a year, unless no one else would serve as the chairperson. Now, I'm quite sure it's well over a year with Steve. So that's something that has to be looked at, I believe. And I believe the rest of you that are on the art committee, I don't know who you are anymore, I'm sorry, that you have to really think about this. And when you do something, you think about how it's going to impact your neighbors. Every neighbor, every side of the street, and any part of the community. You have to think, how is this going to impact? Not just come out with it and say, oh, let's just get rid of Exhibit F, without putting something in instead of it. Just get rid of it. That's absolute nonsense. So, I'm sorry, that's it for me.
Next is Bob Farmer. Go, Bob.
Good afternoon. My name is Bob Farmer. I live on 382 Prospect Park. I thought it was interesting when Doug asked for a show of hands or people to stand. I think it spoke well to how confusing this issue is. I think it pretty much defined it very well, better than probably any of us could have. Eliminate Exhibit F. If this proposal passes, for my wife and I, our first mistake was believing our sales rep. You see, she told us that while Exhibit F would not actually protect our vista per se, she said it does regulate the plant and tree regulations for adjoining properties behind us. The second mistake, of course, is that, but for Exhibit F, it is likely that we would have bought a house across the street and saved ourselves thousands of dollars in doing so. For us and our neighbors, everything in Exhibit F has worked as planned for 6 years. Now the ARC claims that Exhibit F is not valid. While they propose to do away with the exhibit, no viable alternatives are offered. Do they intend for backyard planning to go unregulated? Exhibit F has been used by planners and reviewers for years. This alone speaks to its veracity. It is a contract. If breached, litigation would become the unavoidable remedy. Furthermore, it is important to understand that designs such as these are likely account for a number of things. Wind, fire, slope stability, and maintenance are just a few examples. Now to simply discard this important document would be short-sighted, possibly dangerous. The ARC infers that they have discovered the lost Exhibit F flaw. Instead, however, they simply have it wrong. You see, they claim that Exhibit F refers to guidelines that do not exist, but they have it backwards. The guidelines refer to Exhibit F. Turning to Exhibit F, it then provides the planning guidelines for backyards with slopes. It is self-contained. It provides an example and then it gives the requirement for it, all on the same page. What it does not do is refer to the guidelines. It does not have to. You see, the actual name of the exhibit is Planting Guidelines. Imagine that. Does the ARC actually believe that allowing unregulated slope planning would solve more problems than it creates? That would be asking a lot. The loss of millions of dollars in property value, unforeseen maintenance issues, and neighborhood wars would first have to be overcome before any gains would be realized. This is Pandora's box. Repeat, this is Pandora's box. The decision is easy: to provide a free benefit to some, or to remove one that was paid for from others. Thank you.
Larry Workman.
My name is Larry Workman. I live at 1-5. My name is Larry Workman.
Use your stage direction.
It's on.
My name is Larry Workman. I live at 1529 Tattlesall, and I want to thank you for the opportunity to address this forum. To start with, I do not have a dog in this fight, other than the fact that I do not have a dog in this fight, other than the fact that Exhibit F is seriously imperfect. There are lots where the exhibit are not prevalent, such as Phase A and the original portion of Phase E. But for the rest of us, the Exhibit F raises questions such as, what is the definition of a slope? From 1/2 a degree to 45 degrees? The elevation change? The rationale for this exhibit is to protect the view of adjoining lots, and that is important. Yet, a large percentage of the lots with and without slopes have a 6-foot-high solid wall at the rear property line, or a significant elevation change to the lot below. The diagram within Exhibit F assumes a significant elevation change and no solid fencing. If the slope from the house to the property line is less than 20 feet in height, as shown in Exhibit F, plants or trees must not exceed 20-foot height max. Even that can be a little ambiguous according to the diagram. With a decent slope, whatever it is, the maximum plant height along the slope is 8.5 feet. That's 6 feet plus your triangulation trig. Except when you have a fence at the top, which limits it to 2 feet. So you go up the slope, and at the fence height, you can only be 2 feet high. Even with a solid fence, according to Exhibit F. Yet KHOP has planted large trees outside these fences along Four Seasons and other places. The challenge for you and the committees: do not obscure the view of those who paid a premium. Define slope. Develop a reasonable landscaping guidelines. Revise Exhibit F. This may require more than one diagram. Address the grandfather situations which are abundant in this community. Thank you for your attention.
Before we go on, is there anybody here that actually wants to speak on behalf or doing away with Exhibit F? Thank you.
Next is Bill Guy.
ACDL requires a certified director and that they be paid a fee for the work they do. The director works for the ACDL, and no way do we see her as a vendor. Fees are set by the ACDL, and our director is taking the lowest fee allowed. She puts in 20 to 30 hours a week performing the duties required by the ACDL, as well as extra time in preparing free lessons for all bridge players in the community. She welcomes any residents to come to the Friday class, if we're allowed to continue, to learn more about the game of bridge, not just duplicate, but bridge. She loves to educate everybody about the game. I do not know anyone who would put in this much time for less than half minimum wage. She even made this group an invitational group, and is not open to outsiders, only the people that we invite. She plans all our games with 4 seasoned residents as the first priority, and approved guests as available to give us a competitive game. We play at many other ACBL clubs and have met many new friends. We do not think that 4 seasons should be a community in isolation, as some do. It is important to meet others from outside our community. Most of the clubs invite outside friends to share our great lodge. I feel it is important to continue the practice of sharing and competing with our friends on the outside. I wish all people that feel the same as I do, please stand. Now.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you. Would you like copies of the speech?
Sure.
You want copies?
Yeah, we'll take it. We'll take copies. Next is Alan Shoemake.
Shoemake, Gurley. I live at 176 Potter Creek. I've been a resident here for 12 years.
And I'm going to address the Friends of Orr.
And my neighbors, colleague friends. For over 12 years, I have been an active member and leader of the Bridge Group here at Four Seasons. 3 years ago, we expanded our group for the enjoyment of playing duplicate bridge. For many years, bridge has been an important part of my life, and has several attributes for many positive reasons: lifelong friendships, continuing education, companionship, relief of daily stress, and pure enjoyment. For those of us who have both limited social lives, I cannot emphasize how devastating the past few weeks have been. When we were told that our bridge world would be suspended. For instance, much of my time has been devoted to my husband, who is a resident of the Lakes for the past 4 years with a diagnosis of dementia and Alzheimer's. I have every reason to believe the board will hear a plea to find a way to reinstate this activity to the many whose lives have been so seriously affected by the situation. I thank you for your consideration, for your interest and time. Sincerely, given meant from the heart. Thank you.
Next is Gloria Johnson.
My name is Gloria Johnson, and all of us homeowners have recently received a letter from Edison that states that we have a home in a high fire risk area and that California wildfire season is now year-round.
Can't hear you.
Okay, wildfire season is now year-round. I have attached a map from the state. I have prepared a package for the board. I have attached a map from the state that shows very high fire hazard severity zones near Four Seasons. Our community is in, near, and adjacent to wildland areas. California Public Resources Code 4291 states that if you are near or adjacent to wildland areas, you are required to maintain a defensible space of 30 feet around your house. It also includes a checklist for maintenance and a table of spacing between canopies depending on the degree of the slope. Moderate slopes require 20 feet. The same is stated in the requirements sent to management and the board on November 2017 by Mr. Horner, the fire marshal. You are required, it states, to follow CAL FIRE defensible space requirements. That is 30 feet from structures and 20 feet between canopies. Mr. Horner highlighted in red, this applies to the Four Seasons community. Many trees within our community violate these requirements. We have pine trees 30 to 40 feet tall, no separation between canopies within 10 to 15 feet from homes. Pine trees are undesirable because of their needle litter, volatile oils, and resins. They should not be planted near homes. They should be pruned intensively and spaced wide apart. After Mr. Horner's fire review conditions of approval in November 2017, I received a letter dated November 2017 from Jerry Newell, previous manager, that the board has decided that upon receipt of CAL FIRE reports, the trees will be maintained and or removed in accordance with the recommendations. This has not happened. The letter from Eric Czar states that the board maintains that the trees planted have been approved by the city. In this board packet, I am enclosing the only landscape plant that seems to exist and on a particular slope, and it shows 7 trees on that corner of Four Seasons Circle and Green Creek, and only 1 being a pine. The same area has a total of 31 trees, 26 pines, most 40 feet tall, 3 oak trees, a sycamore tree, and a camphor, all growing into each other. It's like a forest out there. I've got pictures attached, and I hope and I expect the committee and the board to address this issue at the next meeting in open session and let us know why you will not follow these recommendations and why, if not doing so, you are putting our community at risk. Thank you.
Dr. Phil Irving.
One at the office, but since you're here, you also have one at the office.
Hi, I'm Phil Irving, and I see that we have some new board members. We're missing Jerry today. I believe I heard some comments about, and I see on the agenda that item number 11, some of my concerns may be addressed in regards to duplicate bridge and the rules of possibly how many people can come in as guests. I've heard rumors, they'll probably discuss it, but back to duplicate bridge. We understood and have found out that we have called the representatives of duplicate bridge that were advertising online. This advertising online was actually bringing in outside residents to the tune of 4 to 1. There might be 8 residents using duplicate bridge, but there could be 20 to 30 coming in because the ad, they are supposed to, because they're a group, a national group, ACLB, they're supposed to nationally advertise in the yellow pages and the white pages, and now because of the internet, they're allowed to do that. They were coming into this club, they were coming through the gates. All they had to say was they were members of the Duplicate Bridge Club, and they came through the gates without giving their personal names each time. There was a list of names at the front desk, and when let's say there were 6 members, each one would sponsor 6 people. Many times they didn't even know who was written under their name. These people were allowed to come through the side gate and not through the front gates. We're concerned about the excess use of our club, the wear and tear on the facilities, the liability insurance, the fact that we should have our clubs pretty well contained and not to have over amounts of outsiders coming in, non-residents, ruining the facilities, the carpeting, the painting, the chairs, so forth and so on. We'd like to keep our dues down. We understand we're in arrears a little bit, and we know this board will bring it back to the way it should be. I see that they're going to talk today about, possibly if we ever get there, about the duplicate bridge problem, and maybe the change in rules, the ratio. 1:6 is a wonderful rule. I bring my family, my kids, and my uncles or my aunts or whoever. It's a wonderful rule. But when we have a club, when we have an organization or a group, it's a misuse. There's no integrity when you allow 6 total strangers into this facility. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. That concludes homeowner input. Next on the agenda is the consent calendar. The purpose of the consent calendar is we're over the 30 minutes. That was the last one. The purpose of the consent calendar is to make a single motion to approve, to include all items. If for a particular reason an item needs to be discussed or pulled from the consent calendar, then a call to remove that item should be made by a board member. On the consent calendar are the minutes from August 9th, financial reports from July 2018, a lien against account number BE-0631-0274-01. There were no club or group application requests. There's a baby shower request for facilities on November 4th of this year, and a celebration on February 2nd of 2019. Need a motion to approve the consent calendar.
Make a motion to accept the consent calendar.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the consent calendar. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Next on the agenda is the report on executive session. The board held an executive session this morning, reviewed delinquencies, had 3 member hearings, we reviewed contracts, but there were none that were renewed. The board reviewed legal issues and personnel. Sorry about that. Next on the agenda is the committee reports. First up is our architectural committee.
I recognize that the purpose of this meeting and our reports is to address the board.
Can't hear you.
I'm sorry. I recognize that the purpose of this meeting and this report is to address the board and address the assignments that the board has asked us to do. I want to just wave off that a tiny bit and say that the Architectural Review Committee was requested by the board to review the guidelines to see if they were supported by other documentation. We did that. We met for a period of almost 4 months. We invited the community to show up. Nobody showed. We had maybe 3 people. Once we completed that, we turned the information over to the board with the recommendations that we had based upon the conversations that we had, the people that we reached out to. The current committee members who were on the committee and aren't now, do not and did not have an agenda for someone to pull some information that's inaccurate or to make up stuff to try and impinge what we did, and our sincerity is unfortunate and uncalled for. The board has, our committee has no agenda other than to provide information to the board. Now, let's go up to what's current. We had 22 guests, realizing that we probably, we had 26 and 9, we had 35 applications, we had 22 guests. So we didn't have people show up to walk through their applications.
You can see we had 9 new applications that were approved. We had 26 addendums, 23 were approved, and we had 2 express exhibits. They were the 24 exhibits 3, which are completed reviews, and we reviewed those, and they were all done. The Architectural Committee is still looking for members. Nobody wants to input their time. Unfortunately, those of us who try to serve the needs of the community and our board are ending up receiving a lot of complaints and a lot of accusations that simply are not true. This isn't an appropriate place to discuss what my personal situation is, but let me assure you, we are not in violation. Management has talked to us, and the Light and I are spending hundreds of dollars every month to control the weeds in our garden. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Next is the Breeze editorial board.
Good afternoon, I'm Laura Carson, chair of the editorial board, puts out the Breeze. We have 8 members, and as always, we are looking for new members who have good grammar and spelling skills, who enjoy a challenge, and believe me, sometimes it's really a challenge, who want to share and to have others appreciate their creativity. It's nice to put something out. We put a lot of time and energy into what we do, and it's nice to have somebody come up and say, we really like the magazine, or we really like the article you wrote. That can be something that all the people who live here can enjoy. And we like the people who like working both individually on their own and as part of the team. We have, as always, continued to explore new ways to bring people that are not on the board into the magazine. And this seems exceedingly appropriate for this month. We've started a new column that we are inviting, you will see in Union Breeze, when it comes in October, we're inviting members of the resident body to participate. It's why I love my club, group, or class. I also want to say that not everyone who writes for the Breeze is an editorial board member. We invite homeowners to come to a meeting and pitch your ideas for a new column or for a new article. And just so you know, you can be an editorial board member and serve on a committee at the same time. That's okay. We have 2 meetings a month. We have the planning meeting is at 10 o'clock on the first Wednesday of the month, and the proofing meeting is on the 10th of the month. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Laura. Next is the Communication Committee.
Although the Breeze and the Communications Committee work very closely together, the Communications Committee is responsible for our website, and I hope that everyone here has had the opportunity to sign on and explore what is available on the website, which is fourseasonsbeaumont.org. The web address appears on the cover of every Breeze, which further shows that we actually do get along, print and electronically. To speak to the slide, you will see that our website has been updated. We are constantly looking for areas that might be incorrect. We're looking for links that don't work. If you ever go onto the website and you click on a link and it says error, page not found, please report this to the committee, and our very able webmaster will take care of it immediately. He has done a fabulous job not only setting up the website, but working out all the kinks and adding information that people have requested, mostly committees, to be on the website. The other part of this is that we are still looking for new members. It's a fairly low-key committee. We are passionate about getting information out to all of our members, and we really appreciate people. You do not have to be a web wizard. We have one. We don't need another one. but he might like a backup if you really like to play around on the web. So I urge you to come to our next meeting. Yes, which is coming up next week. And if you have any ideas of things you would like to see on our website, if there are any other websites you've seen that seem to be better than ours, although I can't imagine that for an HOA, please let us know. Please come to our meetings. Please enjoy browsing the website and seeing what we have to offer. Thank you.
Thanks, Carolyn. Next is the Community Planning and Transition Committee. Melissa.
It might surprise you to know that I am not Colin Taylor, the chairman of this committee. He is out of the country and asked me to stand in for him today. We have a very interesting committee. We try to provide for the needs of all homeowners and the interests of all homeowners equally. And we are working on how to smoothly transition from the developers' involvement here to our own involvement. That's coming up in a couple of short years, so it's not that far away. We're a very active community. All of our facilities are used to the limit. Scheduling is always a problem, and we are looking for ways to help all of our homeowners have equal opportunities here. We think about how to repurpose spaces, how to remodel things, how to make additions and possibly even add new things. In this process, we send out surveys. Please respond to the surveys. What your thoughts are and your interests and your opinions are important to us. We do look at all of those things and take them into consideration. So don't think those things go into a black hole when you respond. We want your opinion and your ideas. We consider schedules and phasing and costs and multiple and flexible uses of everything. Speaking of costs, there are two costs that we consider. One is the cost to buy it and the other is the cost to use it. You get that? We can buy something for cheap and then spend lots and lots of money using it. We don't want that. We want something that is usable for a long time at a low amount of cost. That's good, and a good investment for us. Storage is a big issue. If you've ever tried to do something here and try to find things in that storage room, you know it's a problem. We have off-site storage and on-site storage. We have considered freight containers, prefabricated units, stick-built units, everything that we can think of to store things. And it doesn't get easier, it gets more and more challenging. We also want to organize our storage better and optimize the space better and standardize our storage. You know that when you go into a storage room, 2/3 of the volume of the room is empty. Only the stuff on the floor is where all the storage is. We are working on ways to help that out. Food and beverage, decorating provisions for the ballroom. For as long as I've been here, which is since 2007, people have asked for a sink for the ballroom. It sounds like a really simple thing. We would like to provide that, and we have a way that we can do that, but we want it to be a good facility, a place where it is not a kitchen. We can't cook food, but we can prepare place for food. This will be good for homeowners and for caterers, and we would like to see them come in and out of their own door and not schlep things through the ballroom and have dirt and stuff all over the floor. Outdoor event center. We have been looking at ways to improve our amphitheater. Turns out that it's quite expensive to accommodate all of the needs that people have said they want there. Access, ease of setup and takedown, sound control, performance area, place to dance up front and not step on everyone's toes. You know, all of those things that have been a challenge. We are looking at possibly providing a new facility as an outdoor event facility. It would cost only about a third or a quarter of what it would cost to improve the existing amphitheater. So those are some of the things we're working on. We're very excited to do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Louis. Next is emergency preparedness.
My name is Mike Mendoza. I'm chairman of the EPC committee. The first thing on my agenda had some proposals from Al Blair, and those have been put off to next month because they came in late, too late to be approved by the board. The second thing we're working on is trying to get together a conference between EPC, the Radio Club, and Neighborhood Watch, and possibly certain people to try to see what our emergency response would look like, what our response would be during an emergency, how our roles would, how each organization's role would play in that particular thing. Currently, I think I just have to ask the gentleman next to me, they just finished speaking about space, because we've been asking for a little bit of room to store all our displays that have been kindly displayed in Eric's office over there, but we'd like to find another spot to put them, EPC stuff, and also the stuff we're planning on getting. And lastly, what we'd like to do is, at one of the board members' requests, because of, actually, I found out a month late that September was Emergency Preparedness Month, but October tends to be a very, very busy month for emergency preparedness because there's a lot of drills. There's hospital drills, there's a statewide emergency drill, and what we're going to do is, what I would like to do is talk to Cindy and try to put up a display and maybe change it 4 times during the month and show different aspects of emergency preparedness. I just got to get together with Cindy and select a spot and see what we can do. Next meeting is next Tuesday, the 18th, and anyone wishing to come, please come. We can always use more people. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next is the facilities committee.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Lou Ortega. I am the secretary of the facilities committee. The facilities committee has been working on additional handicap access at the courts and at the summit. We have sought out bids to put in automatic door openers, and we're still seeking additional bids for that purpose. With regards to the roller shades and the flooring in the workout room, we did yesterday approve a contract, not approve, the board will approve. We recommended that we accept the bid from Mike's Custom Flooring. So we're hoping that the flooring and the shades will be installed prior to the holidays. But since the holidays are upon us, now we have the 4-month holiday season starting with Halloween in October and everything runs together. So we may not have it, but that's what we're hoping for. We did present a proposal to the Finance Committee for the approval of the roof at the RCN building and at the lodge. And that should be on the agenda today, so it should be done. And aside from the slides, I would just like to say that those homeowners who present suggestions in the way, whether it's a suggestion box or you want to come to the committee, it would be really, really nice if, for example, if the issue dealt with the facilities issue, that we would have all of you come and object to it before we present it as a final proposal and get everybody upset. So if you put something in as a suggestion or you see an issue that you may not agree with, it would be very helpful to all of the committees if someone would come out and say, hey, we don't like that idea. I don't have a fight in the Exhibit F committee, but it would have been wonderful if all of you or many of you had shown up at the Architectural Review Committee and would say, no, we don't like this. And maybe the committee would not have proposed that. I mean, I'm not here to elect your homeowners, but it's just something I thought about. The Facilities Committee also has, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to offend anybody. I just thought we would like to hear from our community members on issues before we propose them, because it would be very, very, very helpful to do that. The Facilities Committee has several positions open. We would like to invite any homeowners who wish to serve the community to come out and possibly attend some meetings and join our committee. And if I offended anybody by my statement, I am truly sorry. Thank you.
Thank you, Lee. Next is the Finance Committee. Mr. Carlos.
Good afternoon. My name is Carlos Baumgart, and I'm here standing in for Barry Kennedy. I'm a member of the Finance Committee and was the first guy that you saw on the way to the gym. Asked to be here. Okay, so we have the July financials. And year to date, we're $11,000 in the hole. Not to worry, we're fine. We have reserves ample to cover this shortfall. Please note that our default on HOA fees, our rate is 0.66%, and 65% of associations generally have greater than 5% uncollected fees. Our priority for this part of the year is to develop the annual budget and submit it to the board for approval. We started the annual budget process on August 20th by meeting with various committees to find out what their priorities were, and we're packaging that and going to present that to the board. And at this time, we're requesting that the board approve the membership of Peter Shuttleworth to the Finance Committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Carlos. May I say Peter Shuttleworth has been the three group?
I know Peter Shuttleworth served on the Finance Committee. I second.
Seconded to add Peter Shuttleworth.
Thank you. Next is Landscape Committee with Lynette.
Good afternoon. I'm Lynette Simonson, Chairman of the Landscape Committee. I would like to step aside and speak to the audience as a resident here of 10 years. My whole life has been spent living in fire-prone areas. I lived in the valley, close to hills that burned every year. I lived for 25 years in the forest on the way to Ottawa. Over that time, I've become aware of the measures that the fire agencies have provided for us to keep us fire safe. And I feel extremely safe at Four Seasons because they comply with the requirements of the fire agencies to keep us fire safe. It takes many measures, and I'm just proud to be a member of Four Seasons Beaumont, because they do take care of us in that regard. Now, as your your Landscape Committee Chairman, I have so much exciting things to talk about. As you know, we have new color at the lodge open front door because we've gotten rid of our our frozen, starts with the same letter, our frozen yuccas. And so we're changing that now to have annuals, and we're excited about that. On the agenda today for the board is the cost of the gorgeous Palo Verde tree planned for the court's traffic circle. I was going to bring it and I didn't, but it's available in 8 by 10 gorgeous color Palo Verde. The nice thing we liked about it on the Landscape Committee is that it's lacy and you can see through it, so you can always see the cars on the other side. So that's another safety feature from using that particular tree. Our last meeting was, we had Rainford representative attending our meeting to inform us on the latest technology to provide more efficient repair and water distribution sprinkler heads. And this time they're very, very lovely. They look like a fashion sprinkler head. You've never seen that before. And also new technology, fairly new, but upgraded now, remote control operated water controllers. Say a water line breaks at 3 a.m. on Saturday morning, there's nobody here to turn it off. These controllers will turn off that particular water source until it can be repaired during normal working hours. You can imagine with all the trails and the large slopes that we have, what a nice way and efficient and cost-saving manner to address that. And so we're getting the bids on what those would cost us to do. The notice of the water break is sent to the designated person in that area who controls that on their cell phone, thanks to technology. Let's see, what else we have here? Okay. Oh yeah, one of the things we really wanted to look at was if those pepper trees were going to be sending out roots. A lot of trees send out low roots and ruin where they are because they get sprinkled all the time. So we're having an arborist check that for us and see if the pepper trees and the lodge, both entrance, back and front, are damaging that structure. So we'll be getting that information soon. And what else have I got? Oh, the picture. Trail D. This is a rendering, and it's on the board agenda today for the 27 trees along Trail D. They will be placed appropriately, and they will grow the normal way trees grow, some a little faster than others, but these will provide a canopy for the walkers in that area once they get up and going. And Landscape Committee loves color, I think we all do, so we're focusing on drought-tolerant, low-maintenance, and very colorful trees, so there will be a mixture to make Trail D another wonderful walking area for our residents. We're just real excited about that, and it is on the agenda for today. I guess that's all I can think of, but be sure and drop your landscape issues in writing at the front desk, if you would please, or if you have an emergency situation with your landscape issues that you've noticed, let First Service know immediately during working hours. But it really is a good way to keep us apprised and go through the right people to get any issues of your own landscaping that is part of the HOA, not your private landscaping. You can ask our landscape committee, which meets next Tuesday at 1 p.m. Time I got away from here. And that's it. Our next meeting, and we are always looking for people who love to walk and love to learn about our beautiful place. Thank you.
Thank you, Eliza. Next is regulations.
Plus the wording, resident must accompany guest when guest is driving the cart. Revised wording, groups, page 6, item 2, groups of our community guidelines may include residents' guests, and this is directed to a group activity. New wording may include one guest per household. Proposal form completed September 7, 2018. We are currently reviewing clubs, groups, class, and our community guidelines, pages 4, 5, and 6 as needed. Goal is to make sure that all 4 season activities are listed under correct heading, and club, group, or classes are complying with current guidelines. Residents always have priority when participating in an activity.
Thank you, Barbara. Next is the safety committee. And Anita's not here, so we'll start on it.
Okay, well, I want to thank everyone who participated in the fashion show and luncheon. I had a great time, and I hope everybody else did. Our models were fabulous, and they were all Four Seasons residents. Secondly, there's going to be a murder in the ballroom, and we are going to, not today, but we are going to have a masquerade murder mystery event, and we have hired a professional acting team to come in and do the acting. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and it's near Halloween, so costumes and masks are optional, and we're looking forward to that event. Tickets go on sale this Monday at 9 a.m. in the ballroom, so they're $30 per person. So come and join in and have some fun. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And as Kate's not here, there's no community ambassador, but she did want to make sure that everybody knows that there's a AED and CPR training that's open to all residents on Monday, October the 15th at 11 a.m. here in the ballroom. And with that, we'll go to Cindy.
Okay, what a great day in the ballroom. We are passionate here. We are passionate. That is what makes us so good at so many things, though, right? Right. That is true. That is why we have such a active adult community. Says the sign, right? All right. Onward. I wanted to let you guys know, I can go ahead and invite anybody, right, for the POW MIA deal, right? Okay, so in case some of you were unaware, Four Seasons is highly active when it comes to supporting our local veterans. And on September 21st, we're going to be celebrating POW MIA Day. And a group of veterans from Four Seasons, as well as the RVers and the motorcyclers, certain RVers, motorcyclers, and the Veterans Roll of Honor group, we'll be meeting here at 8 o'clock in the morning, right?
Assembling at 8.
Assembling at 8 and leaving at 9? 8:30. Okay. And leaving at 8:30, and we're going to be going to the Rutland Cemetery, where we will be doing an honor for how many grave sites?
26.
For 26 grave sites of veterans that have been adopted and that are going to be recognized during that time. We'd like to invite, there's so many vets out here, and so many folks who really enjoy supporting the veteran community. We'd like to invite any resident that would like to go with us, grab your car, come along with the cavalcade, and join in on the ceremony. It's very touching, and it's just a neat thing to be remembering at this time. So everybody's welcome to do that. Next, guess what tomorrow is? Friday. It is the ever popular art show. All right? Some of you guys have been massively shocked going to art shows here in the past to see what incredible artists and talent we have in this community. So if you have not had that opportunity yet, please feel free to come. You will shock yourself. You will be really enjoying the beautiful artwork that'll be on display. And I always order up great appetizers. So have some appetizers. Feel free to bring your own favorite beverage, shall we say. And yes?
Is the artwork including photography also?
Yes. Because we consider our photographers artists. They are artists, okay? So you'll be seeing some great things. And guess what? I have a really killer pianist coming, and he's going to be doing sort of background music, but he's also takes requests and just a fun guy to be doing the piano. So all in all, it's going to be a really neat cultured, if you need your culture shot, fun activity. So come on down, it's free. Ballroom. You're also welcome to, because I'm going to have some tables all set around the ballroom here. You're welcome to even bring your dinner in if you want to from Smitty's. The seating is going to be somewhat limited, but we will be able to fit at least 100 people. So the main event though is the art. You're really going to love that. All right, next, amphitheater concert series. Oh, boo-hoo, it is ending. Our great grand finale. Oh my God. If you haven't seen the Kelly Ray Band yet, you have to come. Right, Mark? Okay. Mark is Amphitheater Production Group Chairman. And oh my God, thank you, Mark. He negotiated with this band to get them at a price that we could afford. Stolen from Stagecoach. They're totally great. And we have some secret extra entertainment, like we are going to have a calf roping contest because we know we have a lot of cowboys that live here. So if you would like to try your hand at roping a calf, there's a prize for it. So we will be having our calves. And that's at 6:30, by the way, so come early. You know how some people, we always say, don't come too early because you can't set your chair up before 10 o'clock. But if you're there at 6:30, which almost everybody is, you get to participate in or watch the calf roping. And if you bring, you happen to have a really awesome cowboy hat, wear it. Because there's going to be a cowboy hat contest with a prize. Hello? So come on down and do that. It's going to be super fun. 7 o'clock. That's this Sunday. And don't miss the last finale. I'm so bummed with Jesse. It's been so great. So anyway, see you then. See you Sunday. And next, the HOA garage sale, just going to put a quick plug in for that again, is taking place on Saturday, October 6th from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. right here in the neighborhood. And it's only $7 to get your permit to participate, the city permit. So right now you can go and sign up for it at the lodge desk. Feel free to do that. And the last Gale Games of the year. If you haven't been a part of the Gale Games this year, they are so fun. So you're welcome to come down for that. This is going to be called the Name Game. I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, right? We did Password. That was super fun. Come down. The Name Game is a group participation thing. So if you can't have an excuse to be bored on Friday, September 21st. So come down, bring your favorite beverage, bring your dinner from the bistro if you want to, and enjoy that fun free thing and prize with it too. And finally, I know this was a long one, sorry. The Performing Arts Club is presenting the Love and Marriage play on Friday, September 28th, and Saturday, September 29th at 7 p.m. So if you saw the first play that Michael Rothberg produced, then I don't need to speak further because you'll be the first ones to go to the lodge desk to pick up your free tickets. The free tickets will be available starting on Friday, September 21st, that's like a week before the show, at the lodge desk. Just remember, you have to pick your preferred night. You can't get for both of them, okay? Because we only have 300 seats for $300 for each one of those nights. So anyway, so there you go. Great, great month this month. Yeah, so there.
Next is the management report on pages
63 through 79 are the management updates and activity logs. And then on pages 80 through 247 are communications. No action at this time for those.
Okay.
So next up is unfinished business. First is the architectural guidelines. And page 248 is where that starts. These have gone out for 30-day comment for civil code.
I think we have comment on the flagpole.
On the flagpole, instead of having all the guidelines, so many feet or whatever, I'd like to amend that to just say whatever the Beaumont regulations are regarding the flagpole is what we adopt. If we start putting in numbers and everything, and Beaumont decides to change their guidelines, then we got to change ours. If we could just put down that our flagpoles are going to meet the Beaumont guidelines, then we're covered.
You'd like to make that amendment?
I'd like to make that a motion.
Motion. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we, as part of the ARC guidelines review, change the wording for the flagpole to just simply to follow the City of Beaumont guidelines for it. All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Now we have to vote on all of the guidelines.
The rest, yes, unless you want to, if you're going to pull out the
You're going to pull out Exhibit F. Do what? You're going to pull out Exhibit F.
Exhibit F has already been pulled out,
No,
or do
not
we
yet.
have to vote to pull it out?
I think it's clear to vote to pull it out.
Okay. Do we have a proposal?
Yeah, I make a motion that on the guidelines that we're voting on the architectural guidelines, that at this time we pull out Exhibit F and not vote on Exhibit F at this time until we get further clarification on the issue.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we take the Exhibit F proposal out of the ARC guideline package under review. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next would be the Palatine score guidelines on pages 270 through 270.
Are we going to vote on the ARC guidelines package?
Maybe we could pull that out and vote to approve.
We just voted to pull that out. We didn't vote on the remainder.
Okay, I have that down. So,
Do we have a proposal of a vote on the remaining ARC guideline package?
Just on the ARC are all the guidelines for the clubs and everything.
this would be fun.
Just the ones that are in the packet.
Yeah, that's for clubs and everything. That's for pickleball and all of
This would just be for the rest of our guidelines, so the flags
No,
would be,
pickleball are not in ARC.
I understand that it's part of the guideline package is all I'm saying.
Oh,
It's part of the whole package.
this would only be for the architectural guidelines.
yeah, this one.
The other ones are our
We'll have to vote on that.
Okay, all right.
So, motion to that effect.
Make a motion that we vote on the rest of the ARC guidelines with the exception of the flagpole and with the exception of Exhibit F.
No, with the flagpole as amended.
As amended.
Yeah.
Correct. I'm sorry, as amended, yes.
Second? Okay. It's been moved and seconded that we vote on the ARC guidelines omnibus package to include the revision of the flagpole and the removal of the Exhibit F. All in favor?
No. The removal of Exhibit F from voting on it, not the removal of Exhibit F. We're not going to vote on the removal of Exhibit F.
No. That's what's left in the package. The remainder of the package does not include it.
Does not include Exhibit F. Okay.
Exhibit F has been removed.
Cool. Yes, thank you.
Do you understand it?
I think so.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next is the paddle tennis court guidelines.
On pages 270 through 271.
Again, this is done for the required 30-day comment period for homeowners.
Need a proposal.
I make a proposal to accept the new guidelines for pickleball.
Paddle tennis.
Paddle tennis.
Second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded that we accept the revised guideline, or the new guidelines for paddle tennis. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next is pickleball.
On pages 272 through 273. Again, this is done for 30-day comment.
I'm going to make the motion that we accept the pickleball guidelines as presented here on page 273.
I'm a little concerned about one issue. The cell phones are prohibited on the courts. I can see that we turn the cell phones off, but what if there's some kind of an emergency or some situation that they may need a cell phone if they have health issues or something?
I don't know, do you want to change the wording or?
I would think that we could change the wording to that they must be put on silent or whatever, but not to them totally prohibited from being on the court.
Okay.
You want to delay voting on that particular one?
Anybody else?
Yeah, I don't know exactly what you want us to do. Do you want us to amend the wording or to send it
So I
back?
suggest we amend the wording
Okay. You want the wording to be amended to read?
that cell phones cannot be, that they need the volumes to be turned off during play, but that they are allowed.
For the players or for people in the room?
Well,
or
it says
what?
cell phones are prohibited on the course, period. It just says that.
Yeah.
I think that that's going too far. I think that we should say that cell phones need to be
Cell
silent.
phone usage or ringing or being silent or what?
Yeah, that the cell phones need to be silenced during play.
Okay. So we have a second to your
I'll second the amendment.
Okay, if we moved and seconded that cell phones be placed on silent in the pickleball court area. All in favor of that amendment? Aye. Aye. Motion carries. Now, as far as the rules and guidelines for pickleball court, with the amendment, is there a motion?
Motion to accept the amended rules for pickleball.
Second. Moved and seconded to approve the amended pickleball court guidelines. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Ping pong.
Those can be found on pages 274 through 275.
I move that we accept the revised guidelines as presented to us by the ping pong group.
Second.
It's moved and seconded that we accept the ping pong multi-purpose room guidelines. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next is the operating motorized devices. Rules and regs would like to modify this to say that the resident must be present in the golf cart at all times. I should go back out and post it.
Would that be at all times it's under operation?
Yes. But I should go back out for comment.
We have a motion.
I'll make the motion that the resident must be present in the golf cart when it's underway.
I'll second it.
It's moved and seconded that we
I just got a quick, go ahead.
modify the rule to say the resident must also be in the golf cart when it's under operation, or underway. Excuse me. I'd say under operation.
Fine.
All in favor of that amendment?
Discussion.
Discussion?
Yeah, I was curious, did we exempt Smitty's from that? Because
He's a vendor, so he would not fall under this. As far as having a resident in the golf cart.
he would not fall under this. He's a vendor.
Correct.
Okay.
All in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
Now, we have to vote on the rule, or
Amphitheater guidelines.
did that cover it? Or do we have to vote on the rule itself? We just made the amendment of the word under operation.
Let's vote on it.
Okay, let's vote on the revised rule. Do I have a motion?
What was the motion again?
To accept the revised rule, it must be under operation as opposed to being at all times, period.
He's voted on that.
We voted to change the wording, we haven't voted to accept it. Do we have a second?
I will make a motion that we accept the rule as revised to express under operation.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adopt a rule for operating motorized vehicles to include the revision just approved. All in favor? Motion carries.
And last on our unfinished business is the amphitheater guidelines, pages 277 through 278.
I propose to accept the rules for the amphitheater as proposed.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded we adopt the amphitheater guidelines rules. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. And on to new business. First on new business, on pages 277 through 285, is the ad hoc committee charter and also the membership for the ad hoc committee for the off-leash area. So we need two motions, one to accept the charter and then another to accept the members as presented.
I'll make the motion that we accept the charter and we accept the rules as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded we accept the ad hoc committee charter and membership. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Can I need another motion for the members as presented? That was for the charter.
Make a motion we accept the members of the ad hoc committee.
Second.
Been moved and seconded we accept the members Martha Baumgartner, Jan Bushman, Lynn Jonke, Connie Mendoza,
Patrick Harry, Sharon Bond.
Patrick Gretty, Sharon Bond, Barbara Miller, Donna Lewis, Anita Worthen, Sapphire Rhodes, Nellie Alcor, and TBD. As members, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next on pages 286 through 313 is a proposal from the Facilities Committee to launch roof repairs. They've spent many months going back between several vendors fell out. Total cost is $26,000. This would be a reserve expense.
What page is that on?
286.
I recommend we approve the expenditure for roof repairs to be capped at $26,000.
I second that.
It's been moved and seconded that we accept the bid for the roof repair work at the lodge. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next is a proposal from the Landscape Committee to install Palo Verde Tree at the Breckenridge Circle on pages 314 through 316. Total cost of the primary budget